Hello and welcome to our boudoir.
Ooh, cheeky.
George is allegedly getting dressed. There's no evidence given that whenever he does anything in the caravan it bounces us around at this end.
So if you see us going, then you'll know he's getting dressed.
We thought we'd start by bringing you up to date and where we are. Look at the size of my gut. For heaven's sake.
You're going to have to do this whole thing breathing in, which is why we can only do 6 minutes. Because that's how long you can
Do I look
breathe.
manly yet? Anyway, so we are currently at Gullivers Campsite in Milton Keynes, about which we shall talk later. And we're just off. We're on day 6. Well, we set off. Yeah, we've been here since Tuesday, and it's now Sunday. Anyway,
Yeah,
so
we
we
can't
want
do the maths. It's the school holidays. We've
There was a
forgotten how to
reggae
add up.
festival in Milton Keynes, which is where this is, sort of about half a mile in that direction. So we did. It was pretty. Well, it was late for us because we're old. We like
It
to be in
did
bed
go
nice
very
and early.
quiet at 11 o'clock, and it did say it would finish.
It was
at
fine.
11.
It was fine.
It was fine. Yeah.
So rather than talk about that right now, we want to bring you up to date. We left you last time at,
Morn Hill.
was it? Yes, a wet Morn Hill. And at that time we had planned to go to this site, do a little tour, 13-day tour that involved coming here, then going to Ashridge in Bedfordshire, I think it is. Small site, sort of near Letchworth Garden City, for a nice, nice breather. And then come back here for a few days because Milton Keynes and this area is somewhere that we lived for. Well,
About
it depends
6
whether
or
you.
7 years.
I was in Leighton Buzzard for a while, for 5 years, and then we moved to Bletchley for a very short period of time,
6
and
months.
then we came to Milton Keynes, and obviously we've got friends and family here,
And George was born here, so we've got
Yeah.
lots of connections there.
and we love Milton Keynes.
Yeah.
I was telling my neighbour where we were going, and he laughed.
People
I
do.
said we're going to Milton Keynes, but he clearly has never been here, has he? Because Milton Keynes is brilliant.
It is.
Anyway, so we left you at Morn Hill, and the plan was to have 4 nights here, 6 nights at Ashridge, and then an extra 3 nights here. That didn't happen. We set off for that trip, which would be 2 weeks ago yesterday.
We didn't get very far.
No, I mean, it is, well, anyone who's been caravanning for any period of time will know that frustration when you believe you have checked everything, and in fact you have checked everything.
And actually, we checked everything twice.
I mean, we had gone to town because we'd had our nightmare Cornish adventure,
And our couple of issues getting to local sites earlier in the year with the towing lights and things.
and anyway, because it was a longer journey, so I wanted to be really careful. We'd sorted the distribution of the payload, the nose weight. We'd sorted out the torque on the wheels. Torque setting was right. They'd all been checked for pressure. Everything was fine. And then the last thing we do, as I'm sure everybody does, is you just check that the lights on the back of the caravan are working before you pull away. Guess what? They were. Last time they weren't working. They weren't working from, they at least had the decency to not be working from the beginning.
Yeah.
On this time, and that was on a different car. This time it was fine. We pulled out of the storage yard, and we got probably 3 or 4 miles. Well, whatever. It probably took 10 minutes.
We were at the junction at the end of the lane to the storage yard.
Just about to turn left onto the A31, and I saw someone gesticulating at me in the wing mirror, who was sitting in a Land Rover behind me, and I got out and she said, you haven't got any lights on the back. So we pulled in. There was a petrol station just there, I sort of swung round and got in there, and guess what? She was right.
But there were several components to check because we had changed our adapter that goes between the car and the caravan. So we thought, maybe that's faulty. Even though it worked at the storage yard, we thought,
maybe
let's just
the
put our old one
vibration
back
had
on.
done it.
We put our old one back on, still didn't work.
So anyway, long story short, we had to go back. Peter put a sign in the back saying no brakes, no brake lights. We just went round the roundabout, came back, and went home again. I mean, you know how long it takes to organise yourself for a trip.
Especially for a 2-week trip.
Yeah, not only the sort of practical side, but the mental side, where you're thinking things through and looking forward to it and anticipating the drive and all those sorts of things. And it was a bit crushing to be going straight. I mean, we were literally having the conversation as to whether it was worth caravanning, because it's just so stressful when that sort of thing happens. Had it not been for the fact that our trip to Cornwall had been such an absolute unmitigated disaster, and that didn't involve a caravan, you at the end of the day, you're choosing: do we want holidays or not? If you want holidays, there's going to be a slight risk. So and also, the fact that we'd got a new car, we thought we were safe, but it turned out to be almost exactly the same problem as with the old Santa Fe. So, because this all happened at the weekend, there wasn't anything we could do. So instead of towing the caravan to Milton Keynes on the Saturday, we did a day trip to Milton Keynes to meet up with friends and family who we had planned to see on the Monday anyway. So we just did a day trip, and while we were on the day trip, we booked the car in to the garage for the Tuesday, only to be told it was the same fault that we'd had with the Santa Fe earlier this year. What are the odds? It's the relay that is fitted up under the wing, and it's the thing that causes the way you can tell whether it's working is that if you're connected up and the indicators buzz, or that it makes a buzzing sound when you use the indicators, you know it's working. And whereas with the Santa Fe it had been entirely eroded into or corroded into a brick of rust. In this particular case, it was the cables. There's nothing wrong with the relay itself, but the cables are corroded. Presumably it was because, having fitted it up, we'd gone a few miles and the vibration had finished it off. So the garage was, in a sense, it was a relief, because if it had been the caravan, our chances of sorting it out would have been remote because of the availability of caravan technicians at the moment. But they managed to squeeze us in, sorted it out, and then so we reorganised. To be fair to our hosts here,
yes, Gullivers were extremely flexible, because we had the 3 nights and the 4 nights, so we just moved the 3 nights onto the back.
Well, they volunteered. I mean, we just
nights.
Essentially we were a no-show. We had told them obviously when we realised we weren't going.
Coming, but we thought, hadn't got
frankly,
through.
we thought that the best we could hope for was to maybe have credit against a future holiday, but they offered just to put them on the end of the 3 nights at that point we're still 10 days away. So we thought we could probably get sorted for that,
and we did.
And that's what happened. We got it sorted. And so what we chose to do actually was to take, because the other thing was that we had an issue with our battery, with our charger. The little rocker switch had gone on. We think that we heard it happen overnight. Something popped. It's under here, and at Morn Hill, on our last day at Morn Hill. And given that circuit is only the water heater, lights and the battery, and the water heater's got an isolation switch which was off at the time, and it's not likely to be the lights, I thought it was probably the battery charger, because that rocker switch isn't an earth issue, it's an overload. So in the meantime, I'd sourced a replacement, managed to fit it, which I was pleased about. It's nice to be able to do things yourself, but we had no way of checking whether it worked. And if it didn't work, water heating becomes a problem. With the current shortage of gas, Cala gas, I was worried that we wouldn't have enough gas if we had to use the gas to heat the water. So we decided to go back to Morn Hill for a couple of days, and then go from Morn Hill to here, because it's right by the A34. So you can it's the easiest possible way. It cut maybe 15 minutes off the upward trip, I'd have thought, maybe 20 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, and all the going to site and hitching up and all the rest of it.
And so, although the weather was atrocious at Morn Hill,
absolutely chucked it down.
I mean, it's like every time we go to Morn Hill, this happens.
I'm surprised that, because we were on a slight slope as well, we were on a pitch we haven't been on before there, and I'm surprised that the Caravan just didn't sort of go like that in the night. It absolutely belted it down.
It was a muddy field by the end.
It was a quagmire. Yeah.
As happens every time we go there.
So our awning is quite filthy.
Yeah.
The front of our Caravan and our car got very dirty.
But I was able to test the battery, the rocker switch, and it's fine now. And it seems to me as though that has been going for a while, because that particular battery charger whereas with most battery chargers, when you're running the 12 volt like the water pump, that's coming off the battery and then the battery charger charges that up. With this particular charger, you don't actually need a battery on board at all, except for the motor mover. So this is providing, for whatever reason, I've noticed the water pump is now more efficient as well. Which is
making showering very nice.
Yeah. So yes, I mean that has been a big success. We had a couple of days at Morn Hill, and then we came up on the A30. Decided to go the A34 way. I mean, it was right there. It's a simple journey to here, theoretically at least, and it was great. Last time we came up this way, we had our smaller Caravan on the back, and what were we pulling
and we
with
were
then?
Towing with the borer.
Were we?
Back then? Yeah, definitely. It was
yes, we were.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And there were times when it was swaying a bit on the back. Now, it didn't have a stabiliser.
Did not.
But it was a lighter Caravan, I suppose that was part of it. But of course, it had a smaller surface area as well along the side. But we didn't really. We had a couple of moments where it just didn't. You know, I had a momentary readjustment, particularly when we got sucked in by big lorries coming by.
That is the only problem, I think, with coming up the dual carriageways, because we do drive at, 55, between 55 and 60. You're getting overtaken all the time by big trucks who want to go between 60 and 70, and I'm pretty sure they shouldn't be doing that.
Well, whatever.
But they do. So it isn't very nice being overtaken by Arctics, is it?
Repeatedly. And so we got off at Bicester, and to be honest, I do much prefer being on the smaller roads. I really do. It's much more enjoyable. But the Sportage handled it brilliantly, even though it's lighter than the Santa Fe. So the ratio is not quite so good. It handled it brilliantly.
Did a great job.
It was not a problem, and that's, touch wood, I feel a little bit more confident about it now. And we got set up nicely. I've learned the importance of getting the level exactly right. I haven't bothered in the past, but it is absolutely essential, particularly when using the shower. And so we've had a good time, but we will report upon the time itself in a future instalment, because we obviously want George's opinion.
Yes.
There's no sign of him actually having got up, because we haven't moved at all, unless he has managed, by some miracle, to actually do it gently, which is not something he's accustomed to.
No, it's a beautiful sunny Sunday afternoon, and it's our son-in-law's birthday. Happy birthday, Chris. And we're meeting them at Waddesdon, which is a National Trust property, about 40 minutes away. So we need to get going shortly to meet them there.
So we shall see you soon.